Always appreciate you making the time. I know it's a little tougher after a loss. When I saw you last night in the tunnel at FedEx Field, you were grumpy, and I think understandably so. Little time to process that loss. How you feeling about that Giants game now?
Well, more than anything, I'm disappointed for our guys first and foremost on how things ended. You know, we had some opportunities. Unfortunately, we didn't get the opportunities. But the opportunities we had earlier in the game, we didn't take advantage of either. So it's one of those things. If we do what we can, play to our abilities, don't miss the chances we have, it's a different story. But that's all conjecture. The way it ended, I'm disappointed too. So I'm still struggling with it. I watched the tape. A lot of good things. Some guys really played, gave us everything they had. They all did. But some guys just had some things going in the right direction for us, and we didn't capitalize. That's disappointing.
Some big picture stuff, and then maybe we'll drill down on that late game scenario. Third downs and red zone offense continue to be a problem. I can identify that it's a problem. Like the numbers tell me that. How does that get fixed with 3 games left?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we can't get behind the chains. We got behind the chains a couple of times on opportunities where, they know you're going to throw the ball. That puts a lot of pressure on a lot of people. Puts a lot of pressure on the offensive line. Puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And again, we have to do the things that we can do to put us in those better positions.
One of the things that maybe helps you in down and distance scenarios is sticking to that run game.
Yes.
You go back to that Philly game, kind of the best I'd say this team has played this year. I know coming out of halftime, it's a double-digit deficit.
Yes.
But you get that score quick. The bulk of the second half, that's a one-score game.
Yes.
Would you have liked to see the run game, stick with it a little bit more? Was it situational?
I think it was situational, and I think sometimes when we get into certain situations, a little angst, we get a little ahead of ourselves. It's okay to be steady, and that's things we have to continue to learn to be comfortable with. And that's one of the things that we've got to be better with too, because when Brian Robinson's running the way he is, the line's blocking the way they are, we can contain it, we can keep it in control, and see how things go, see how things roll. That plays to our benefit more.
Especially your line is more veteran guys, especially at this point with some injuries. They seem to get going downhill maybe better than they do on their heels, and then you add Thibodeau to that. Were you surprised by the success the Giants pass rush had?
Not necessarily, because the successes they had was when we were behind the chains. So again, we have to be aware of that. We have to recognize those things, and we got to be careful to put ourselves in that position. That's one of the things that really bothers me about looking at it now and getting a chance to, again, hindsight's 20/20.
Sure. What'd you think of Taylor's performance?
I thought it had its moments, a lot of positive moments. I mean, it's one of those things that the truth of the matter is if we can secure the ball a little bit better, it gives us a chance. One of the things that we wanted to do, we thought we could do, is we took some shots. Now, we got 2 of those shots, which were pretty big, but we took our shots.
What a play by Dotson on
Yes, it really was. Jahan was tremendous. And if we can get the ball out to Curtis a little cleaner, that's a catch and run for a touchdown.
That's 6, yeah. That's got to be a tough one.
Yeah.
With Taylor and kind of some of the fumbles, some of the red zone stuff, are there things he could do better, or is some of that, he started 20 games for you now. Is this what we got?
See, the thing that we have to also, when we game plan, understand is what his strengths are, and let's play to that. Let's continue to play to that strength. There's some things that he's not going to be able to do, that he doesn't do as well as other guys, and that's what we've tried to do. And again, making sure that we don't get behind the chains is one of the things that has helped him. When the chains are in a positive mode for him, those little things that he does, they become real good things for us. But when we're behind him, those little things he does aren't quite as beneficial.
How important is it then? Perhaps I'm drawing an arbitrary number here, but it's 25 carries. It's 28 carries for the backs, and it's B-Rob and Gibson, and maybe it's Williams, however the numbers work out. But is there a number you want to see get to week after week?
As I look at it, I would say that number's got to be somewhere in the high 20s to low 30s for the most part. And when I say 28, 29, 32, 33, somewhere in there, I think is and that tells you you're controlling it.
Right.
And what we have to do is, again, if we can keep the score the way it's been for the most part, that gives us our best opportunity, gives us a chance.
And so with Taylor, it was one thing. Carson's been hurt for most of Taylor's run. So when there have been times where maybe there's just struggles, or it's just not, the offense isn't performing at a high level, it's just kind of performing.
Yep.
Carson's in sweats, so you don't really think about it. I was down there at halftime. I saw Carson come sprinting out of that tunnel. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this 6'5" unit. Does that change the kind of the situation at all?
It does. I mean, going into the second half, scoring early, moving the ball the way we did, it would have been hard for me to
Sure.
make a change right there. I mean, I have to.
If that went differently, could you have thought about it?
Yes, it had. But, again, it didn't.
Right.
So it never crossed my mind. Once we got that score, I always felt, okay, here we go. Here it comes.
That was the best drive of the game.
Yeah, but you're thinking, here we go, and this is what we got to do, and let's continue with this.
So you had another drive late.
Yep.
And it feels like some of this late game Heinicke magic's going to hit again. Let's start with his scramble to the pylon. Did he lose his footing, or could he have cut that back and scored there?
I would almost say in his mind he was going to get ready to dive. I was wondering if he felt like he had an angle on Thibodeau. And the thing to remember, that's a heck of a young man and a heck of a football player. I would love to have seen him cut back on it, more so than anything else.
I mean, if it's a running back, you tell him to press the edge and cut it up, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you got 3rd and goal from the foot line, whatever that is. A lot of motion pre-snap there.
Yes.
Could you just hike it and go without all the motion?
You could, but part of the problem is if you just snap the ball, have you gotten all the information you need prior to that? Now, if you're gonna get in the huddle and say, hey, look, we're going on the ready, okay? Now everybody gets there. You're not looking for information. The play you have designed, you don't have to worry about who's in the box and who's not in the box. In that situation, it was, okay, let's make sure the box counts what it wants. We want to bring it in motion across so we can get some movement back there. And now all of a sudden they're one less where we're going to run the ball. And that's exactly what happened, And as far as Terry was concerned, Terry's out on the edge. He's the X, okay? And like we tell all of our guys, anytime you're split out, we want to make sure you're lined up properly. Let's check with the referee. And as we saw, Terry does what he does. Okay, gets the signal from the ref, lines up and leans into it and goes. That's what we do. That's what we've taught them. As far as that stuff is concerned, I thought the play was exactly what we wanted. It was designed to hit it just the way it did.
The ref's grabbing for his flag before the ball's even snapped.
Yeah.
How do you view that?
Well,
I haven't even gotten a 4th down yet.
Right. I'm a little disappointed just because of the fact that, again, when you get an opportunity to correct, like he did, the receiver, I'm talking about Terry, you would think that, okay, and then let's just go on to the next, whatever happens.
Do you think the line judge, because Diami was in motion away from him, was reaching for the flag already because he thought it's either going to be illegal motion or illegal formation? It was bizarre that he's reaching for that thing.
Well, if he's reaching before, then he had something in his mind.
Or is that something you reach out to New York about?
Well, I mean, again, I'm not going to get into specifically what I've done as far as New York's concerned, but from my perspective, again, our player did what exactly we coach him to do, and that is get to the line, get yourself set, check. If the guy tells you to move up, readjust, get yourself set, and we go. And if you notice, anytime we have guys shift in motion, we have one guy point forward telling the ref that, hey, I'm the guy that's on the line. The other guy puts his hand behind him to tell him, I'm the guy that's off the ball. And when you look at it, there is a stagger between he and Diami. So you would like to think that was enough to tell him, hey, we're set, we're ready to go, let's go.
I'm going to say something because they can't find me and they can find you. The 4th down play, Curtis Samuel, if you want to say it's a judgment call on interference, that's fine, but it's a procedural call on holding or on illegal contact. There's absolutely at least illegal contact.
Right.
And I would add, if you're going to call that on 3rd down, you should certainly call that on 4th down. Just be consistent with the calls. How frustrated were you by the end of that sequence?
I was frustrated because there was no consistency, and that's the thing I think that we're all trying to work towards. is the
you're
consistency.
on the competition committee. Like,
right.
you'll have a say in this
Right,
stuff.
and that's one of the discussions we have is let's be consistent with the calls. If we are consistent with the calls and the judgments, okay, then I don't think we're having this conversation because at least we're consistent.
Right.
And everybody faces the same thing. And I think that's one of the things that we have to make sure is clear cut is what is the standard for calling the penalties? That's a discussion that has to be had. It's a discussion that has to be mapped out, lined out, and said, this is it. This is it. And maybe that's like the conversation you heard at the owners' meetings recently, that they talk about trying to get everybody full-time officials. Maybe that's what could help, is that these guys work on it constantly, they talk about it constantly, and they understand what's expected constantly, so that when they come together, it's consistency. That's the biggest thing. And again, that's the hard part about it, because it was a good game. If you really look at it, and don't want to take anything away from the Giants, because they played physical. They had some really good things that they did that happened. They played well on offense, played well on defense, and they played well enough to win, obviously. But what I want to see is consistency.
Right. My stance is the refs did not cost you the game, but they had a major impact on your ability to win the game.
See, I like the word impact because, again, whether you do something or you don't do something, there's an impact. And that's what we have to understand, okay, is that doing something creates an impact. Not doing it creates an impact. So let's just do what we're supposed to do according to what the standards are and what we decide is consistency.
Going forward, short week, San Francisco 49ers, arguably the hottest team in the NFL. How much more do you need out of your offense to win this game on the West Coast?
I think, if anything, we have to play consistent. I really do. I mean that. I mean, run the ball consistently. Don't get behind the chains. Okay? That is probably one of the big keys for us on offense, is again, staying with the chains. If we get behind it, now these guys get to do what they do best, and that's pin their ears behind them and go. Whether they're attacking the passer or they're playing their coverages. This is a very good defense, and we understand that. Secondly, if we can control the ball, control the time, we can keep their offense, which is high-powered, very explosive, off the field. It gives us our best opportunities.
Speaking of pinning their ears back, just go to the Giants game real quick. Daniel Jones didn't get a lot of pressures. Were you guys focused on containing him as a runner?
What we were focused on was stopping the run, and understanding that the thing that they did was they got the ball out quick. Look at, if you get a chance, time the release. It came out very quick. We had some times where we were a step away. He got hit several times, but he got the ball out of his hands, and he did a very good job of that. Getting it out of his hands.
He showed some real zip on a couple of those.
Oh, he's got a great arm. He's always had a good arm.
Right.
And again, you got to think about where he came from, and that was at Duke, where he did a great job learning, developing, growing into a passer.
Two guys that could help you in California. St. Juice.
Yes.
I know it was talk that he was close.
He was close. He had a good week. Last week was probably his most week of work. I'd like to believe that he'll give it a good go and will more than likely be ready. And Chase had an opportunity to see Dr. Andrews, who really was very, very pleased with, just basically saying, hey, this is really good. It's time now. Let's go.
You can't make decisions in hindsight, like you said. Now that Chase has been on the active but inactive on game day roster, I mean, the clock got started over 6 weeks ago.
Yep.
Is there anything you wish you had done differently in that process?
I think the only thing I wish I'd known was that it was going to, it was a little bit more of a process. That in his mind, he wasn't quite where he needed to be. I think he's in a very good space right now. He had, last week, again, like Benjamin, that was that was the week that he did the most. And I think, again, just that last visit with Doc just probably gave him, hopefully, the assurance that he wants.
You went to Philly on a Monday night.
Yep.
They were the best team in the NFL. Nobody gave you guys a chance. Came home with the dub. You're going to San Fran on a Saturday. Probably not going to get much of a chance, just being real. What do you tell your guys?
Tell them exactly that. Guys, you just go out and play. We have nothing to lose. Okay, we've accomplished a lot more than people anticipated from us this year. Our guys have really done the things that we've asked of them, and that is to give ourselves a chance. We had a chance last night, and unfortunately it didn't happen. And so we've got to learn from it. We got to understand that being good is one thing, but being better, being great, that's another thing. We have to be that to give ourselves a chance to win.
And just on a personal note for you, holidays are here. Lost your mom. Going back to California. I imagine you'll have some family there.
Mm-hmm.
Does this carry a little extra significance for you?
It does. I did during the bye week go visit my father, spend a little time with him, handle some family business with him, and got to see my brothers, which was really good. So that going back has already been accomplished. But this now around the holidays is we've talked a little bit about it. We have.
I bet. Thank you for the time. Good luck this weekend.
All right. Thanks, JP.